Today we're going to talk about the bare essentials for the apocalypse. Without this one item, your final days in the wasteland are sure to be a living hell, and shortly thereafter you will drop dead and the women and children shall weep. Just kidding about that last part. Let's talk about this. Hi folks, Canadian Prepper here. So this one's for the soy boys. You guys keep telling me I'm talking about the Russians too much, so we're going back to product reviews and we're checking out this portable, low power air conditioner that you can use in conjunction with your off-grid power supply. So let's check it out. Why would anybody ever need a portable air conditioner? Isn't that glamping? Aren't we hardcore outdoor survivalists? We don't need this yuppie shit. Take a look at this guy right here. Look at this distinguished gentleman right here. Sipping on some lemonade at the park. He's got the AC blowing on him. Can you imagine being that level of douchebag? Talk about guy who's not gonna survive the apocalypse. What other use cases are there for this? Let's see. If you're traveling, you can carry this giant device around. You could use it for an RV. I think that's a good use, a backup AC for your RV. You can use it when picnicking. I'm not too sure about that one. I guess if you're traveling and you're doing it out of a car, then why not? Fishing, in a tent. Definite use case. In a truck, if you're a guy who drives a semi, or a girl, or whatever gender you might represent, and of course for camping. We're going to talk about whether or not this thing actually works. Now, for comparison, we have this other small portable. I wouldn't really call it, it's portable in the sense that you can move it around the house and you can move it to any place within your building, but it's not portable in the same way this is portable. This is actually very lightweight, okay, relatively speaking. It's around 20 pounds or something like that, 22 pounds. And it puts out about 2,500 BTUs. This one, for comparison, is around 8,000 BTUs. Now, you need around 20 BTUs per square foot. If this is 2,500 BTUs, you're talking about 127 square feet. So realistically, you're talking about an 11 by 11 foot space. So a very small room, a large tent, maybe even an off-grid bunkie style cabin or tiny home this would be ideally suited for. And that is, of course, its ability to condition down to the levels that it's rated for. So in a bigger space, you might not get it as cool, but it will still have a cooling effect. So one of the distinguishing features of this unit is that it has a low power consumption. Okay, it has minimum noise. It's not very loud. So this is a 24 volt DC system rated to 12.5 amps. You can run it directly off a deep cycle battery and they provide you the cables with that, or you can run it off your portable generator and they provide you an AC power converter for that. So according to Nightcore, they use an ultra compact patented compressor that has minimum noise, low power consumption, and outstanding cooling efficiency. And I can say for something that only takes 250 watts of power, more or less, that's pretty good, because the thing that I've always been concerned about when using air conditioners off-grid is the power consumption. A unit like this, for example, you're talking about 1,000 watts to run it continuously, although it is cooling a much larger space. A system like this, we're talking about 2 kilowatt hours, could potentially power a device like this for around 8 hours. Now, on a very hot day where you have wet bulb temperatures and you have vulnerable people in your household, be they elderly or very young people, and it's really a matter of life and death to keep them cool. So for that reason, having something like this handy, in the very least, especially if you live in a place where air conditioners are not commonly used, more and more we're seeing a demand for those systems. Places like Vancouver or even parts of the UK where they've been getting these excessively hot temperatures at certain times of the year where they didn't in the past, then having a portable system like this may be the solution for you. Again, understand that this is only rated to cool a small room. So if I was using this in, say, a high-rise building in the UK, where they typically have a temperate climate and it doesn't get too hot, but they do have those odd days where it does get very hot. What I would do with a system like this is I would try to create a cooling room. You could have that room as a place of refuge and respite in such case that the temperature became too dangerously elevated in other parts of the home. You'd always have that one place where you could kind of keep cool. So it's not going to cool your entire home, but it can cool a small portion of it. All right, guys, we're inside the Icy Cold. It's freezing in here. It's plus 30 and smoky as all hell outside because it's the apocalypse, so I'm told. But inside our cozy, icy, crispy cold, Nightcore cooled tent, I'm A-okay. I'm gonna survive. I'm gonna ride this one out. One thing you're gonna wanna consider is the more insulated your shelter is, the better this is gonna work. This will work down to 61 degrees, and this is cold. Like, this is an AC. It has a condenser in there. It's essentially working the same way as a refrigerator does. It gets rid of the condensation in that direction and all the heat goes out the butt. All of the warm air is being sucked through here and it blows out cold air right through here. It's not gonna be icy AC cold, but it is definitely cooling the air, okay? I'm not sure if this is an optimal setup just yet. We're definitely in a bit of a sauna-like situation here, so I think if you were to use this in a car, in a camper even, someplace which was better insulated where you weren't so exposed. Like right now we have paper thin tent walls here and that's allowing a lot of that heat to just come back in. So we're cooling the air, but it's a race with the outside. And right now it's 31 degrees outside and it's humid as well. If you want to use this inside a tent, which is probably going to be the use case for the majority of people, maybe you want to use it inside a RV or something to that effect, there's two primary configurations that you're going to use. One is where you have the unit inside the place that you're trying to cool, so you have this inside the tent. The other situation is going to be where this is outside the tent. Depending on space, the size of your tent, and the circumstances, of course, that's going to be up to you. If you're putting this inside your tent and you're going to want these two hoses going outside of the tent, one is for intake and one is for output. If you have this outside your space, what you want to do is go something like this. So these things just screw into here. Can I get it in the hole?
That's what she said.
But you got to be careful because the way they show you and the way they explain, what's happening is the hot air is coming in through this inlet. The cool air is being blown out here. But if this is taking air from the bottom of your tent, typically the air at the bottom of your tent is going to be colder than the air that's at the top of the tent because heat rises. So it would make more sense if this was blowing cold air into the bottom of the tent and this was sucking the hot air out of the top of the tent. But you can try different configurations to see what works best for you, or you could just have them both running in side by side into the space, just like so. If you don't want to use this at all, you don't have to have this. This is a detachable faceplate, this attachment. You can take that off entirely if you don't plan on using the hoses. You don't need to use the hoses. Don't use this in a space without venting the hot air. Otherwise, what you're going to actually be doing is heating up your space. This is a condenser, but it's also a heat generating system. It's a heater if you don't vent the hot air. So you have to vent the hot air. There is a drain pipe. So as that moisture accumulates, you just put that outside your tent and that will drain it off. So let's see how much power this sucker uses. So we're going to turn it on. This is the user interface here. So it goes down to 61 degrees Fahrenheit. Room temperature is 72. Ah, that's good. If you hold this button down, that's going to take it off. Now it's just the fan that's working. So this is only going to run maybe 10 or 15 watts. But if we want the actual condenser to kick in, we got to hold this down, and then you can see that little snowflake there. For all you snowflakes, that's what you want so you can keep cool. Okay, so your makeup doesn't run. It's pulling 124 watts. And it's gonna take more power the hotter it is in the room that it's trying to cool. It's really not that loud. Let's turn this one on and let's see the sound comparison here. So you can see we got 900 watts output, so this is taking a lot more power. It's putting out a lot more cool air, but it's a lot louder. It's way heavier. This is probably about 60, 70 pounds compared to 20 pounds. So if you guys want to pick one of these up, I only have about 9 or 10 of these in stock. Make sure you go through the link in the description and you will get one delivered ASAP. Otherwise, you're going to be waiting for around a month and a half because, of course, like everything, these do come from China. So get one while the getting is good. Use coupon code SURVIVALPREPPER for 10% off and stay frosty. Thanks for watching. Canadian Prepper out.
The best way to support this channel is to support yourself by gearing up at CanadianPreparedness.com, where you'll find high-quality survival gear at the best prices, no junk, and no gimmicks. Use discount code PREPPINGGEAR for 10% off. Don't forget, the strong survive, but the prepared thrive. Stay safe.